Shabbat Shalom and welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you here this evening on this weird, windy Windsor day. Yeah, and I wondered if that's why they named it this way, because it feels like it's been especially windy all winter long. I apologize for the late start. I've been looking around for a Mishnah Berach list, and I wasn't given one, so we'll just have to do the ones that we know for this evening when we get to that point in our service. But we're not there yet. So if you would take out your prayer books, we'll go to page 142 as we begin with the traditional Shalom Aleichem. 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Moachem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi Malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech Malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We back up to page 120 as we welcome Bela up to light the Shabbat candles for us on 120. Amen. Thank you. That was lovely. Page 126, we'll find an English reading I'd like us to read together. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Thank you. We're going to turn now to page 132. The bottom of the page, that last 4 lines of Hebrew, is a song or zarua that we can sing together for those who know it. Or zarua la tzadik uleishve lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik uleishve lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim ba'adonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim ba'adonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. On 135, bottom, the last 3 lines in this Hebrew is another song. Hopefully many of you know, and you'll sing along with me. It goes like this. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Page 136. Let's read this psalm together. This one continues on to 137, so we'll read both the English paragraphs below the Hebrew. Together, 136. A psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory, Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. That takes us to 138, where we find the Lecha Dodi prayer. This week we will do all the verses on page 138, and then we'll skip to the last verse on 139, when it's our tradition to rise and face the door, as if welcoming the Sabbath Queen into our midst for this Shabbat. Page 138, Lecha Dodi. Anybody have a favorite tune they want to use tonight? You want something slower, faster? There's so many. I don't know what regular would be. Okay. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shem u'letiferet ולתהילה לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם, נשוכה סוף מעשה. במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך אפיך, רב לך שבח ועמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלי חמלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערים מהפרקו מלבשי בגדי תפארתך, מעל יד בן ישי בית הלחמי קורבייל. נפשי גאלה לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 9, we rise. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. You may be seated. Good choice, Gav. 140 at the bottom, Hebrew paragraph that's indented. Actually, we're going to do the English. This is the Psalm for Shabbat. We'll do this one in English. Let's do that together at the bottom of 140. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. The righteous bloom like a date palm, they thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age they still produce fruit, they are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. On the next page, I think it was last week, but they're starting to run together already. I taught a little nigun. That's a famous one, an easy one to catch on to. I'll do the intro in the Hebrew, and then we'll, those of us who remember the nigun, will do it together. 141, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom of the Hebrew paragraph, or the transliteration paragraph. Mikolot mayim rabim, mayim rabim adirim, adirim mishperei yam, adir bamarom Adonai. Edotecha nemnu meod, Leveitcha hanav hakodesh, Adonai leorech yamim. And you can use whatever tune or words you want for the nigun, but it goes like this. And you can really let Shabbat arrive. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la lai 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 la la lai lai lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la la lai 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 goes up, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la la lai lai lai. Ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai, ya la lai 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 lai. Oh, good. Some people are catching on. All right. So that concludes the Kabbalat Shabbat part of our service. We turn now to page 144 as we begin the evening service, first with the half Kaddish, and it's our tradition to rise for that. This is a call and response prayer, as is the Baruch on the next page, 146. And we will remain standing, going through the Shema on 152, at which point we will be seated and continue with the blessings after Shema. First, 146, the call to prayer. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. The final blessing, 3 lines from the bottom of the top paragraph. El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. Amen. 150, let's do the English paragraph on the bottom of the page, and then I'll conclude the Hebrew blessing. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam li'ohot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam, Al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeruhu vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'hiyitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. You may be seated. Page 157. Is there somebody who wants to volunteer to come up and do that short reading on the top half of page 157? Come on up. No, just you. Yeah, that's the paragraph. Sorry, I thought you meant this.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Thank you, Gav. So that intro takes us to the Micha Mocha prayer, which words come from the Az Yashir Moshe song that our people sang once we left slavery in Egypt and entered the Promised Land. So 158 at the top, please join me in Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar ba'kodesh, Nahora tehilot, O Sefelem. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli hanu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, uga'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Amen. 160, the bottom half of the page in the English together. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Amen. 162, we sing together, V'shamru. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. All that was preparation for our Amidah prayer that comes next. This is our chance to have a private audience with God, as it were. So we begin on 164 together. We'll rise in a moment. We take 3 little steps backwards and 3 little steps forward for each of these words in the Hebrew, and then we'll chant it in English as well. And then we'll do the next 2 pages together in Hebrew with just the Nusach melody, and then the final blessing on 170 before letting you have silent prayer from 170 all the way to 180. Feel free to use Hebrew or English or your own personal prayers of your heart during your time with God. Page 164, we rise as we continue together. Adonai sifatai tivtachu fi agiti latecha. Adonai, opened up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagimor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avod V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham V'ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol ata Rav le'hoshia. Mashiv HaRuach u'morid HaGashem. Mechalkel Chayim bechesed, Mechayei HaKol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim berofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevuro, Umido melach, Melech mebihit umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. 170, Ata kadosh u'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahaluhu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. יעשה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. We turn now to page 371 for the Mishiberach prayer, our prayer for those who are in need of healing, whether it's physical healing, spiritual healing, or both. And as I said, I don't have a list tonight, so we'll just have to go with names either that people remember or that they want called out. I would like to mention the names Rabbi Yitzchak Cohen, Sarah Jackson Bybee, other names that people want to put on the Mishiberach list? Thank you. Any other names for healing? Anybody online have a name to add? Okay, we take all of those names as well as all of those who we have usually mentioned that are on our list into our minds and into our hearts as we sing together the middle of 371. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu, may the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. 516, we skip ahead to the prayer for our congregation, and as we know, there was a tragedy, near tragedy, but also a tragic event in Michigan just the other day. And that congregation certainly is in our thoughts and our prayers for spiritual healing from the trauma that they experienced. But we want to say this prayer for our congregation as well as theirs. Let's read together the top of 516. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. And then on the next page, I'll read the prayer in Hebrew for the prayer for Israel. You're welcome to join me if you know it, though I do tend to do it kind of quickly. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagen aleha be'avrat chazdecha, ufros aleha sukat shlomecha, ushlach orcha ve'amitcha l'rasheha, sareha ve'yoatzeha. ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר Amen. Okay. Well, again, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you all for coming out on this kind of gray and windy evening. It's nice to have you here with us, as well as those who are up online, out there in the cyberspace. Our Torah reading this week takes us to the very end of the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. But it's not anywhere close to the end of our journey. It's a double parsha. We read Vayakel and Pikudei together. And Vayakel is an interesting one because it starts out with that command, Vayakel, that you should gather together. And it specifically says in the Torah, the entire congregation of Israel. This wasn't just the men or just the men over 20. This was the entire congregation of Israel coming together. And that didn't happen often. And it doesn't happen a whole lot these days either, with all the silos that people have and the differences of opinion and feelings about what's going on in this country and countries near us and countries in the Middle East. It's hard to feel like we are one. And we don't all, as I've said before, quoting a very good Baptist preacher friend of mine from Waco, Texas, we don't all have to be of the same mind as long as we're of the same heart. And after the experience that our neighbors in Temple Israel in West Bloomfield had, was it just yesterday? God, it feels like so long ago already. Yesterday morning. For those of you who don't know what happened, there was a terrorist who drove a truck in through the doors of the building into the hallway. They are a large enough congregation that they have professional security who were able to stop the car. They shot the assailant. One of the guards was hit by the car and knocked out briefly, but he was taken to the hospital, was expected to make a full recovery. All of the children who were there for preschool, over 100 children, were evacuated safely to a nearby country club and then to the JCC where their parents could collect them. All of the staff were fine physically. We don't know how they are emotionally. And we each have our own feelings about what might happen, what has happened. And so we are going to be more diligent here. We're going to try and upgrade some of our security. And we want you to feel free to express whatever fears you have, whatever thoughts you have about making this place feel safer for you, because we want you to feel safe coming here. And that phrase, that Vayakel, we want this to be a place that everybody can come and feel comfortable. We still want to be as open and welcoming to anyone who wants to walk into our doors. We just have to be a little discerning about it, to be more careful and cautious. When people ring the buzzer, we should look through the doorway and see if we know them or not. If we don't know them, we can ask them why they're here, ask them whatever other questions we think might help us make a sort of judgment about whether it's safe to let them in or not. We can talk to other people who are in the building if we're not alone and get their opinion before we decide to do it. So what I'm trying to say is I want us to continue to be welcoming to everyone, but in a wise way. And that's part of Vayakel. That's part of how we come together as a community, because it's going to take all of us so that we can all feel safe to be working together during these turbulent times. We can only hope and pray this Shabbat that things will improve all around the world and peace will come, as we sang, Oseh Shalom B'Romav, may God who makes peace in the heavens make peace for all of us here on earth. And certainly our thoughts are with all the people of Iran, but especially their small Jewish community, for those that didn't get out after the Shah fell, as well as other minority communities that are there, like the Baha'is, and just those who are oppressed. We want peace, that shalom, that peace, that wholeness for everybody. all around the world. And so that's our wish for the Shabbat, as I wish you Shabbat Shalom. All right, we are ready now to move to our concluding prayers, beginning with the Aleinu on page 586. It is our tradition to rise if you are able for this prayer. We will do the bottom paragraph on 586, and then we'll continue silently in Hebrew or English until we get to the concluding paragraph on 591. Okay, so if you're able, please rise and join me in this prayer. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotze bereshit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. 588 silently. Together, 589 in the middle of the page. Sorry, 591, my apologies. 591, middle of the page. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai Echad, U'shemo Echad. You may be seated. I do want to mention that this coming week we will be observing Rosh Chodesh. The new month of Nisan will begin Wednesday night and Thursday. That's usually announced during the Torah reading on Shabbat morning. But that's significant because with the month of Nisan comes one of our pilgrimage festivals, the festival of Pesach. And we will be having a second Seder for the entire community, not just members of Bethel, but anyone who is interested is welcome to come. There is an early bird price that ends. There was an error in my email. I apologize for that. Yesterday, as you can understand, was a bit of a crazy day. So I said April 19th, but it's March 19th, because obviously April 19th will be after Pesach. March 19th is the deadline for getting your paid reservation in at the early bird price for our second Seder. And then I don't know what it goes up to, but I believe that's on the flyers. There's some out in the hallway. That's the biggest thing that we have coming up. Does this congregation do the selling of chametz? Is that something that your rabbi usually does? Anybody know? Just Chabad does. Okay. We might do something different this year. We'll see. The tradition, for those of you who don't know, for people who keep kosher for Passover, not only are you not allowed to consume any chametz, any leavening, but you are not allowed to benefit from it or own it in any way, shape, or form. So rather than have to throw it out, the rabbis came up with a way that you can sell the chametz. If you put it all in a certain place at a certain designate and you close up that cabinet for the entire week, you can sell that cabinet to a non-Jew who holds it for you, and they give you some money, and then you can buy it back from them at the end of the week if they're willing to sell it back to you. If they're not, then it's theirs. But if they are, then you can keep it and put away your Passover stuff first, and then have your chametz available to you. But it's also a nice time, maybe we should pull out the grocery baskets, because as people clean their houses for Passover, they might have some food they want to get rid of that could go to one of our food banks in town. So I'll make sure I bring out the grocery carts and we can start collecting from now through Pesach for those who are, what's the term they use now? Food challenge? No. No, it's the term that... Thank you, food insecure. That's what it is. Good job, Mike. Other announcements that are coming up, that's the most important one. The Monday night class is continuing, but it's not meeting this week. I'll be out of town this entire week. I'll be back for Friday night services, and we'll pick up the class the following week. We will meet during Chol Hamoed Pesach, the middle of the week of Pesach. Other announcements? Anne, can you think of anything else? Okay. Again, you can always look out there for other announcements. I apologize for not having the written list tonight. We now pause to remember the generations of our community that have come before us, as we do each week, by marking their yard site, the anniversaries of their passings. May I assume that we don't have anybody here who is sitting Shiva, the 7-day mourning period, or Shloshim, the 30-day mourning period? Anybody in any of those categories? Okay. So we will turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page, it's way back here, 598. This week, we observe the yard sites of the following people. I'll let you can, Bailey, you can stay down until I finish the list. It's not a short list, but not a really long one. This week, the following people have their yard sites: Roseanne Agree, Samuel Booth, Marlene Burke, Laser Juddin, D-Z-O-D-I-N. Apologize if I didn't pronounce the name correctly. Deborah Gold, Marlene Gold, David Green, Maurice Green, Elaine Greenstein, Ethel Hoffman, John Kaplan, Percy Katz, Ben Klein, Dorothy Crever, Bob, Robert Crever, Geraldine Morton, Alice Presser, Gail Rosenblum, William Saperstein, Ray Shklove, Ruben Shklove, Mildred Schuster, William Silver, Zelda Stotland, Nathan Tepperman, Esther Weingarten, Sam Winograd. Are there other names not on my list that people would like read? Thank you. Other names? Any names online? Okay, if you are observing a yard site, please rise. May God comfort each of you among all mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. The rest of us who wish may rise on page 598 as of comfort. Arach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela minko birchata v'shirata, tush birchata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Please be seated. All right, so all we need now is a concluding hymn for the evening. I was looking at some of the songs for peace toward the back of our prayer book. Do people know Shir LaShalom on page 658? Is that one you guys know? 658, Shir LaShalom. Is that a song people here know? Or Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Do people know that one? No? Okay. I can't hear you, Jeff. What page? 657. Yeah, that's Od Yavo. You know that one? People know that? Okay. The last song on page 657 is a nice prayer for peace that includes both the word shalom and the word salam. So let's conclude with that. It goes like this. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. That repeats. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam, salam. One more time, a little faster. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam shalom. Shabbat shalom. We rise now for Kiddush, and we're actually going to do the oneg in the chapel over here. I guess I should hang on to this since people are still online. Vayir vayivoker yom hashishi, vayirchulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tivham. Vayirchal Elohim bayom hashvi'i, melachto asher asa. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, vayikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto. Asher bara Elohim, Asher bara Elohim lasot tzarei, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen, amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshana b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, V'Shabbat kodsho b'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yatanu kidashta im kol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha B'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.